want. Well, they wanted Chicoine. And they asked me if I do that, just trying to do something good for the community. I said, yeah, it's in the fun, as long as I'm not working, a shift or something like that, I'll stay over there. There won't be any trouble. And so I did. And the kids started coming over from Ella, and you had to go up steps to get into the church. And that's about as far as they got. And I just told them to get the fuck out, don't bother coming back, and I set it that way. All right? I knew all the kids in Margaret. It wasn't that big of a fucking school in the first place. And so they still went ahead and closed them down.
And I'm sorry, what was the name of your first school? What did you call your school when it was
Hop Sing.
Hop Sing? Okay. And in Mogador, was it still Hop Sing or was it Ho Chun?
No, Hop Sing, Feeman gave me that name. He was giving names to, that was probably the only Chinese he knew, really. Otherwise, he was bullshit the rest of it. But Hop Sing is the name of a tong. It's pretty good size. They're in Hong Kong. Their biggest branch was in Hong Kong. But they had branches here in San Francisco, New York City, and they had one in Canada. So it was nothing but they're criminals, is all they are.
Wait a minute, we were told it meant together in victory.
Hmm?
We were told it meant together in victory back then.
Shit. He was saying anything.
Oh.
We brought a guy in from the university, or Rick Allen did. He had a
Mhm.
school. And he was a professor. He taught Chinese languages at the University of Akron. He came in when he had these phony Sunday meetings, and he's up there writing shit up on a chalkboard, and the guy couldn't even understand what the hell he was trying to write. It was all bullshit. All he talked about was Shaolin Temple. He was a Shaolin priest and this and that and the other, but he was a 6-degree black belt in bullshit, probably, more than anything else. And so Rick Allen then told him to get fucked, and he just left out. I was teaching his Monday night class, which he set up a certain things for the guys that had schools, or, they were supposedly higher ranked, and they had to pay for a whole year in advance. And he had it on Monday night. And I used to have to teach it because he didn't know anything. Well, I didn't say he didn't know anything. He taught me a horse dance. And that was about it. And so I said, well, I never turned John. And then I was teaching for him for Christ almost a couple of years, and we started having yearly demonstrations. My school was the only ones that could break stuff, right? Because nobody knew these training programs. They didn't know that I'd been going up to Canada. These old masters had fled mainland China when Mao Zedong took over, because he would have killed them if they'd have stayed. And I got the guy, that's where I first picked up iron palm, from a guy that was a master of iron palm, or hand training. And I learned then there weren't that many people, even back when the country was wide open.
Do you remember his
These
name?
guys were far and few in between, and they would only teach somebody that was in their family.
Do you remember his name?
Hmm?
Do you remember his name?
Yeah, I know it, but I won't say it. Because he has people that were still living there, that were relatives. If they'd have found out he was alive and hiding in Canada, they would have killed him. And so that's all, the only thing he ever asked of me. He says, be careful who you teach this knowledge to, and don't ever say my name. So I said, there's no problem. And he showed it to me the correct way, and also learned you had to have an herbal medicine that went with it. You put on your hand, there's all kinds of stuff you had to know. And he taught it to me, and so I was teaching that to my people. But they were inadvertently buying the herbs from Freeman. Now I'm talking way back in the goddamn 50s. And he was selling that medicine to them that he was getting from Hong Kong for $500 fucking dollars. and he was paying $24 for it back then. So what I do is, to show that we're getting medicine from FEMA, I give him the order, and if these guys want to pay that fucking price, go ahead and pay it. But then as soon as they got the medicine from him, I'd shit can it, and I'd give him the real stuff. That's why our school was the only one that could do all this shit. Nobody could break what our guys could. Nobody could do what our guys did. Then he finally found out one day that, I was learning real shit off of some real teaching. And sort of upset him, and I told him to get fucked. You teach your own goddamn class. Well, he couldn't teach the class because he didn't know anything. So we started a special class. It was a lecture class, so whatever they paid at my school for dues, they had to pay him the same thing to come to his lecture class once a week. What the fuck's he gonna do except some more bullshit? And I tried to tell my people, I said, you're wasting your goddamn money. So anyway, that's when I told FEMA to take a flying fucking rolling donut at his house, because I used to eat with him every Monday night before I taught. And as far as martial arts at that time, there was a couple of places that tried to open up and say they were karate schools. They had just read something in a magazine or a book or something like that. And we were pretty good at policing that in the beginning. And I knew it was against the law. We couldn't walk into school and kick the goddamn teacher's ass and throw the rest of them out legally. And so I thought, well, we better find a different way. And most of the time, reputation spread, and all we had to do was walk in and they would just shut down. So martial arts sort of came to a pretty good halt at that time. But I kept training under teachers that knew what the fuck they were doing. And then I had the opportunity to go to Taiwan. I thought Hong Kong, I'd been going there getting material for FEMA so I could teach it. I just put it on a viewfinder and learn the form and go down on Monday and teach it, and these guys could go out to their school and show them a new form. And that's what he was doing. And, it's such a fucking mess. That phony son of a bitch, he didn't die fast enough, or soon enough. His face was so goddamn red, he'd have these Sunday meetings once a month. He'd tell people that's the chi, and he's got so much chi, so much internal energy, that his fucking face is red.
He did.
It was red because 90% of his fucking arteries were clogged. All right, he was young. And he'd already had one heart attack because they found scar tissue on his heart when they did the autopsy on him. All right, I wasn't supposed to be there, but the chief coroner investigator just happened to be a pretty close friend of mine, and I was there when they did the autopsy on this son of a bitch.
I'd heard that a lot of the herbs he had promoted as
So
healing were
basically,
actually, he was
karate
incorrect
was
about
starting to come around, and the schools were opening up. Guys were stationed in Okinawa, and the Okinawans were teaching the GIs some stuff to make money and so forth. So, in no sense they were getting something legitimate, we weren't getting it out of a magazine. So, what the fuck? Let them alone. Unless they want to come over and fight or something like that, we're going to kick their ass. But, so, I just kept going in the Chinese martial arts. And I got the opportunity to go to Taiwan, because that was the mecca for Chinese martial arts. Because when the communists took over mainland China, they outlawed it. They could only do Tai Chi Chuan early in the morning. Everybody had to do that as soon as they got to work. That's to keep healthy so they could, produce more in the factories and stuff like that, I guess, I don't know.
And pacify them so they didn't revolt.
And so I just kept going. Why or how did I get to be chosen by Grandmaster Chang? He never taught anybody one-on-one in his life. Well, he was the chief instructor at the Central Police College, the Political Warfare College, the Military Police College, And in every school, from the middle school on up, had paid instructors teaching Swai Jiao in the schools. They couldn't graduate from the police academies unless they'd already made a black belt in 4 years. He was powerful. This guy was like a double Muhammad Ali. These people kissed his ass. He was a fucking god, and they didn't want to let him come to this country because they figured he wouldn't come back. But he had the promise and he would. He was a lieutenant general in our army.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, 3-star, lieutenant general. And anybody wanted a job after they got out of the police college, as long as he said it was okay, they'd get hired. That's how powerful he was. He had more power than any goddamn politician on that island. Not called an island, Christ, it's a country. Pretty good size. So, I don't know. He finally told me they couldn't teach me, and so I became part of his family. He had 2 sons, but neither one of them could be physically a good martial artist. He was about my height then back then, about 6'1". But he was working for a Formica company here in Ohio, actually. And the other son was nothing but a fucking habitual gambler that was using his dad's name to borrow money and pay his bills and do all this other bullshit. And well, somebody stuck a knife in him. Once his dad died, nobody would touch him as long as his dad was alive. But, you know, I learned a lot from him, sometimes in short periods of time. You can get more information off of a person with that much knowledge in 45 minutes than you could off of most teachers in 45 months. And why? Because they had been taught stuff at a level that nobody else had ever been up at, except very few over the years that were great, really great. And nobody could beat him. Nobody. He didn't give a fuck who it was. It could be a Mongol that was a foot taller than him and outweighed him by 150 pounds. He picked the son of a bitch up coming through the air and throw that bastard like he was a pile of shit. And if he didn't like him, he'd make sure when he went down, his neck was at the right angle.
Who was the guy who used to throw hard?
Daniel Winter.
Yeah, he didn't like him, so he'd throw everybody else correctly, and then he'd make him crash.
I said he never hurt any of us. I mean, intentionally, but boy, he beat the crap out of Daniel.
I brought him to this country. I got him Class A visas, and so he could stay a year. And he spent most of his time with me, or I'd send him down to Austin, Texas, because they had a branch down there, and they were Chinese. That's Gina, okay. And that way they could speak the language better with him and so forth. And then I would go down there and stay with him. But we had one of our yearly demonstrations. The first time I think we brought him here. And but he really got a chance to look at my students perform. Other than that, we were, you know, just doing stuff. He's showing us, you know, material. I ain't gonna say, hey, I'll teach this, and I'm gonna be, you teach it. And he was teaching stuff, and we got all kinds of funny guys come in. We got the guy that knew the golden bell. You hit him and you hurt yourself. And he came down to the school
Gary
and
Kleiman.
comes in, and Mr. Chang's there. And of course he's asking, I had Chinese people in the school. Well, this guy has this kind of knowledge and all this, and because he had this kind of knowledge, you know, he thought he was qualified to meet Grandmaster Chang, you know, and so forth. And they told Chang, and he lost his fucking mind. And of course they said if he'd been in Taiwan, he'd have killed the son of a bitch.
I told that story, clocked him twice
So,
in the side of the head.
anyway,
thought
I
he
told
was going
Grandmaster
down.
Chang, I said, hey, let me hit him. And he knew fucking well if I hit him, he was going to die. So he said, no. So I thought, okay. I gave him Robert Palmer, one of my color guys. He was built like a fucking He looked like he'd been lifting weights from the time he was born. Never lifted a weight in his life. But he had hand training. He could go through 20 inches of fucking concrete with a slap. And I had 3 guys that could do it with the back of their hand too. But they got the right training, the right medicines, and the stuff works.
That was the connecting energy.
Yeah. So we got along real good. And then they started easing up a little bit in Taiwan. Once they found out they couldn't kick my ass. Common sense would have told them that the best they ever had in the last 300 years was teaching me what the fuck do they think they were going to have a chance. I tell people, hey, some of the fights would last a long time, maybe 2-3 minutes. That depends if they stayed away from me for any length of time. Otherwise, if they tried to attack me at the beginning, 15-20 seconds, they're gone. And so he got ill, and we got a conversation. I didn't know he was ill. I knew he'd gotten throat cancer that could have been cured by Chinese medicine, American medicine. They did everything they could have cured it. He didn't want it. These people remember me when I was, like in these pictures. He was powerful. And they loved this guy. He was one of the biggest heroes of China. So, how you doing, Gina? Come on in.
Hello.
Hello. I come bearing dues.
Thank you, young lady.
That was mine.
You fight him for it.
So, the people over there that were supposed to tell me when I talked to him, he said, when I think it's time for you to come over, when I'm getting close to dying, I'll let you know. Well, he didn't. He got told somebody over there. It was probably, I don't know, one of the other guys that hated me or something like that, and they didn't get a hold of the people here that were Chinese to have them tell me to get my ass over there. And some of the last things that he said after the few people that were near him was that number 1, I was the first vice president of the International, and I was to take over the organization, which was that he was the president. And he wanted me there with no elections, that no matter what the other people